Yeah, thank you for being here. Nice to see so many of you, some colleagues. That's also nice. And welcome to the best of both worlds, Apache Pulsar and Apache Kafka. We're going to go streaming, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
yes.
And my name is Turk, and you are?
I'm Grygleski, and I'm from Chicago. Yes. Yeah. And okay, so today's talk is about, well, not so much about saying one is better than the other, but we try to understand each strength and then also try to work them both together. Kind of how can we make both, best of both worlds? That's how we name our title. So between Pulsar and Kafka, right, we each get a lot of questions being asked, right? Which is better? So which is better, do you think? Ko, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm a little bit biased. I think that Kafka is better. What do you think?
I think Pulsar is better. Yeah. Well, kind of. Well,
shall we ask it someone? Shall we ask the audience, or shall we ask ChatGPT?
Yeah,
yes,
how about that?
Let's do that.
Okay. Yeah.
But maybe the people are also a little bit biased. I don't know, but
yes.
So we are going to POE.com. That's pretty nice because there you have all kind of AI systems like ChatGPT. You have also Bard and that kind of things. It's pretty nice if you want to ask, and like you want to also ask it Claude or something, or ChatGPT 4. Mm-hmm. Shall we try ChatGPT 4? It's limited. Is it one free message left today? Okay. Mm-hmm. Which is better? Apache Pulsar or Kafka? I don't have personal opinions, but I can give you a comparison. And it's saying like where Pulsar is good in it, right? That's and it's also giving you some things where Kafka is better at. And the question is like, which is better? It says what it says at the end, you think?
Yeah, let's see what it says at the end, right? Yeah, it's still going through. Yes. So for Pulsar, for example, multi-tenancy, geo-replication, all these things. Yeah, and now, Kafka. Let's take a look too.
Yeah.
What does it say?
Yeah, it's very mature, of course, because it's used a lot by people. That's a good question, maybe. Who is using Apache Kafka in his daily work? Okay. And is someone already using Apache Pulsar in his work?
No. Or how many of you have heard of Pulsar? Oh, okay, quite a few. So not so much using it yet, right? Yeah, okay. I think that's expected everywhere. It seems like it is a bit of a newer streaming platform. So, yeah. So
what it basically said is like, this tiny message, it depends.
Seems to be the case.
For your needs.
Yeah.
And today we want to show you how Pulsar works, but also Kafka and the streaming way. And the cool part of it, you can use both. So that's pretty cool.
That's right.
Let's just go back to the...
Okay. So now we get the answer, or at least it says it depends. Yeah. So let's get into details. Yeah. And so before we get into details, let me see what my clicker.
Yeah. It's an introduction.
Thank you. Yes, introduction. How about?
Hi, my name is Turk. I'm working for a small consultancy company called Blue for IT. I'm working a lot with Kafka, so that's why I'm the Kafka part here. And Mary is the Pulsar part. Yep. I have an assignment at Rabobank. I'm a conference speaker. And if you want to follow me, just use one, LinkedIn or Twitter. That would be nice. All the code will be at my GitHub, so you can also watch it of us. I'm also like to write. And I also have an assignment somewhere, and I sharing the fame here. This is my team, and they said like, hey, you are now at a lot of conference now. We also want the fame, so this is my colleagues, and I really love them. And let's continue.
Nice. Very nice, yeah. So I'm Mary Grygleski. I'm from Chicago. I'm a developer advocate at DataStax, and DataStax is a company that makes NoSQL Cassandra, Apache Cassandra, if you're familiar with. So we have a managed cloud for that. That's the main thing. And about 2 years ago or so, we started adopting also event streaming, which is we're using Apache Pulsar underneath the hood. And so that's what I'm working on. But for myself, I was a developer advocate at IBM previously for the Java and open source team. And then I'm also a Java champion and also the president of the Chicago Java users group. So I'm very much involved with the community too. And I believe in tech community. I think it's great to have an event like this where everybody comes together and learn and share. So that's kind of great. And so how you can get a hold of me is Twitter, LinkedIn, all these typical areas you can find me, GitHub, and also I have a Twitch stream as well, and other places too that we'll be sharing towards the end as well. So yeah, so that's about me quickly. So, and this one too is that if you want to get a hold of this slide deck while we are talking, that's the QR code for the slides on the right-hand side, and then also we have some code demo that's actually on the codes repo at GitHub, so that's on the left, that one. So, yep. And don't worry if you miss it, because we will be sharing the slide deck with the organizers here as well. So
Twitter or something, or
yeah, that's right.
So the most important question is mostly, this is because you're joining, what's in it for me? What do I learn? Choose which streaming framework is good for me. That's one of the goals. And we are going to create a basic Pulsar and a Kafka app. And we have an advanced part where we do some more advanced stuff and what is really interesting and what you don't know yet. So, and how to stream like a
Pro. Yes.
Not on
That's
YouTube.
what we're hoping. So yes. Okay.
The agenda, Mary, tell me.
Okay, sure. So we will start, right? Welcome to a streaming world, some introductions, and then we get into the streaming architectures of each Pulsar and Kafka, and then also about why you should consider both architectures and what they may be more, better in, how they are each better in their own ways. And then some code in action, some demo, and some data stack specific event streaming kind of usages that you can have too. And also we'll introduce you a bit to the Pulsar functions as well as then Kafka streaming. And then we'll basically show you how you can bridge the two together to make the two really bring out best of both worlds. Yeah. So that's our agenda for today.
Let's try to be allies here, right? To join the best.
Yes.
So, welcome in a streaming world. The possibilities are endless. You can choose different frameworks, cloud platforms, and that kind of things. But this is the Louvre. Yeah, I think you already seen it, but you can see it like Apache Kafka is the big building beneath it. Everybody is using it. It's a little bit maybe older. It's older. And the new thing is like Pulsar there, and it's like, it's or you like it or you don't like it, but it's the same like the other things, the opinions of people. Pulsar is newer and it has some more other advantages you can use. But it depends.
That's right. Yes, exactly. So now let's take a look. Is Kafka better or Pulsar? Yeah, you can.
And who is this?
Yeah, click on that Pulsar.
Oh, sorry.
Kafka. Okay. So these are like the original, right? The Kafka and Pulsar. These are the original images of the two. But so the question is, which is better? So we asked ChatGPT already. It depends. So let's get into some details about that at this point. So. All right, but actually before that too, you may be wondering, right? What are the users of Apache Pulsar and Apache Kafka? So among, these are like highlights of some of the clients that are already using, customers that are using. So as you can see, I think on, Kafka side, LinkedIn, Rabobank here locally, right?
Indeed.
And then Adidas, all these. And then also too, on the left side, you see Yahoo is the original creator of Apache Pulsar. So they are still using it heavily too. And then also like Splunk and Verizon, all of these are, as you can see, are big companies that are using it. And also we are increasing, hearing like increasing interest too in using Pulsar as well. So
to let you know, both are proven. So they are really used. Pulsar is really used. Kafka also. So these are the customers. You can click on it if you want to check it. It's possible where it's used. Some books about Pulsar. These are good books. And there's also a book about Apache Pulsar versus Kafka. So you can also see like, hey, why should I use Pulsar? Why should I use Kafka? That's in a book. It's
a book. Yeah. And just a note. Chris Bartholomew, who wrote the book, is an engineering director on the streaming side at DataStax. So just FYI.
Oh, okay, nice.
But and then we have other ones too. Yeah.
So it's a good read if you don't have something to do.
That's
And
right.
yeah, we're going to say to hi Apache
Yeah,
Pulsar,
let's
right?
start a bit then with Pulsar first, right? So as we know, Apache Pulsar is event streaming platform. And also, too, if you kind of look at, we just choose these images kind of representing it rather than just all the words. So as you can see, right, like if kind of below it, there's like, you see like an apartment building with different colors. Yeah, over there.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah, it's sort of like, we're trying to look for like an image to represent multi-tenancy. And so multi-tenancy is one like really great feature of Apache Pulsar. But the next slide I'll describe a little more. But essentially, it allows you to kind of essentially like, treating messages as kind of different grouping, let's put it that way. So make it more like a tree structure. Let's say, right, an example of that usage, if you're a data center, you have different customers that you are accommodating, right? They are using your streaming platform, and you want to separate out all of the messages. So by nature, like the natively, Pulsars already allow you this multi-tenancy features. So you can group all of your customers under different tenants. So then they operate differently, like they have their own authentication and message types. They are all, already organized, accordingly within their own tenant. So in this case, think of a tree structure. You have your cluster. You have multiple customers all organized accordingly. So it makes it really easy for you natively to already organize the messages. So that's kind of want to point out about it. And then there's also that globe thing is basically talking about geo-replication too of Pulsar. That's also another feature of it. It's basically, you have different data centers in different regions of the world, or even just locally, you have different regions you want to do replication. It's also all natively built in, so it makes it easier. And then the other thing is basically about Bookkeeper. Bookkeeper is the one that's kind of responsible for managing the large, group, essentially collection of all of your log messages. So in this case too, Pulsar can be relieved, not worrying about managing all of the log messages. You let Bookkeeper worry about it. So fast read, fast write, all of these things. And the broker of Pulsar will communicate with the Bookkeeper. And you can look up old messages. And then there's also beneath too, is basically there, you see like different kind of storage containers. So basically, I'm just describing there's a tiered offload too for storage. So if there are messages that are a little bit like becoming like inactive, you don't want it to sit in the primary storage in which you would be charged, right, in the cloud, for example, environment. So Pulsar is smart enough that it will move all of your messages to kind of more like less expensive storage, like offloaded. So let's say S3 buckets or Hadoop file system, that will be cheaper. So those are kind of highlights of Pulsar. Just wanted to share first.
Thank you.
Yeah, and this one is just another picture I described earlier about multi-tenancy. So you have a Pulsar cluster running different, set groups of messages. You can organize them according to different tenants.
This is really nice. What Mary said, you have different customers, and you have customer 1, 2, 3, and in Kafka you have all kind of topics and that kind of things, and it's a little bit more messy. So this is a really nice structured way. So I like that one.
That's right. Yeah.
Why? Mostly, you are saying it, but I'm now saying it. But it's really nice. It has a nice performance. It's scalable. Message replay. You see it also within Kafka. You also have message replay, but you have also in Pulsar geo-replication and future readiness. And we will talk about that more later on. There's also Spring integration. It's coming, or it's already there. And Mary, tell something more about that.
Sure. Yeah, and also now then let's switch to Kafka. So if you're interested too about Apache Kafka, we decided to just have a QR code in here. You can scan and get more information.
It's just a quick start if you want to run it locally and that kind of things. It's heavy, but you can play with it also locally, and that's pretty nice. Books.
Books. Apache Kafka. Okay, so I talk about, but these are like different books, right? But as we know, there are actually tons of resources. So if you scan the QR code, you see even more books that are being recommended. But these are like highlight of the ones that are more popular, perhaps.
Yeah, if you are beginning, there are really some good books. Some here. So
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Why Kafka? Now I am. I love the community within Kafka. It's a big community. You have Confluent, you have Actual, and that kind of vendors, and they're really promoting Kafka also with a reason, of course. But there are a lot of examples, and it's really great, and you can see it everywhere now. So that's nice. There are a lot of tutorials, examples, and that kind of things. Use it. And there are no bad days. I really love to program. I'm also a developer. I'm using Kafka Streams. I tell you more about it in a coding example. And also Pulsar, of course. And they're best of both worlds. So there's really something good in Pulsar, but also in Kafka. So we will show you later on. Kafka, it's simple what I said. It's mature. The performance is pretty good. Replayability. You hear some overlapping things here, also with Pulsar. It's fault tolerant, and Pulsar and Kafka in the server are a little bit same. There are some differences there. We will come to that later on. How does it work?
Okay, so let's get a bit then into Apache Pulsar. But this, again, right, there's so much to it. But again, this is just kind of represent, like a picture of it in just a picture. But as you can see, we can spend days, talking about each component. But just to give you an idea, right, if you kind of conceptually think of Pulsar, there are essentially the producers and the consumers. That's what you write the code, right? And right now, too, it's essentially the client API is pretty, not too complicated, I should put it that way. And there are many different languages that are supported. Primarily is Java, because Pulsar is written in Java. And also the broker itself is a serverless JVM process. So naturally, too, you write Java client for producers or consumers, but it also supports like Python and Go. So, in a lot of cases, if you are into data sciences, they are mostly Python. That's also supported as well. But also, another one is C++, and also .NET too, which I didn't actually show in there. So if you're a .NET developer, that's also C# is supported.
Are there .NET developers here?
That's right.
Java?
Java? Mostly, right? Yeah. Okay.
And also some other languages, maybe?
Yeah.
I'm now curious, what kind of... Python and Go.
Yeah, so it's supported as well. So so that's that. And then also, as you can see in the middle part, we basically are describing the broker. It's the one that's receiving messages from the producer and also distributing them to consumers who subscribe to them, right? And so brokers own the topics and also kind of manages essentially all of the message delivery. There are retries and things like that. It's the broker's responsibility. Again, the Pulsar too decided that it's not good to also manage that laundry basket of all the log messages. As you can see, right, you can basically have 5,000 messages per second that can come at any time. So you're managing really a lot of messages. So instead of Pulsar managing it, it separates out and have Bookkeeper, Apache Bookkeeper over there. As you can see, it's a very scalable storage. It's an Apache project, also very efficient, with fast read and fast write. So Bookkeys is the one that manages and segments off all of these log messages too. So it's pretty like organized way, and it runs in different units of, as you can see, there are like different Bookkeys is called, different unit of operations of the Bookkeeper in runtime. Also too, Pulsar is using Zookeeper for managing of the metadata in the cluster. So it's still using that. Yeah,
we're talking about the server here, indeed.
That's right.
And what I like about Pulsar, and I also learned in Atlanta, is that you can also use your Kafka applications and run them against the Pulsar cluster. And that's pretty cool. You just have the same API as a developer. You're only connecting to another server, is it like that,
yes,
right? And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
And you can also
correct.
do that with Cassandra. So you have all kind of integration. You can talk Cassandra and still use your same app, only the endpoint is differently.
That's right, yeah. So you communicate with the broker, essentially.
So that's pretty nice. So
That's right. Yeah, you build your data pipeline. So now it's on to Kafka.
Yeah, nice. You have also a set of producers. You have a set of consumers. You have a schema registry. And there you can say you have an account. If you're working at a bank and you have an account and you have a balance. And that kind of objects, they are all here, living here. And you have something called the cluster. You have Zookeeper, so to discover if all your servers are up and running. That one is, by the way, changing. It's going to, you don't need to use it because, it's changed there and it's even quicker now. Then you have a topic and a broker, and on that broker there live topics, and you have different petitions there. Petition 1 and petition 2. A message can live on different petitions there. And don't mess with it. That is something for sure. But mostly I would recommend it. Don't host your own Kafka server. It's really can be complex. And I think it's also same with Pulsar. So use somehow a vendor which you like. Right?
That's right. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a QR code from Confluent. I really love the site from Confluent about the Kafka. You can find more. There's a lot of possible with Kafka. You have kind of you can create all kind of things. The Kafka, you can just send a message with a producer, or you can go the streaming way. Just process a lot of message in one bunch, and it's pretty easy, and you have something called KSQL that you can just do a kind of SQL query into your topic, and then you get some answers back from it. So if you like that, the possibilities are endless there. But yeah, why should we consider both architectures,
Sure.
Mary?
Yeah, of course, yeah. So just to kind of give you a quick kind of conceptual picture, as you can see, Apache Kafka on the left-hand side, right? Apache Kafka was developed before Apache Pulsar, but it's actually really good distributed messaging, all of these things. As you can see, it doesn't pay as much attention to the fact that I need to manage the log messages. So Kafka itself manages all of the log messages too. But as you can see though, as Cole mentioned about the partitions, it's actually, the partitions is how it kind of works out the distribution of all of the messages. So Kafka manages all of these, and you can have multiple brokers that are running too. So they're all log segments basically replicated, right, in order across all the borders too. So that's kind of conceptually, that's how Apache Kafka looks like. It's powerful distributed messaging platform. Whereas for Pulsar too, it was developed after Apache Kafka in 2013 or so. Actually, the engineers at Yahoo started doing it because they were working with Kafka, then they realized they're starting to work in cloud, in the cloud cluster. Then they realized there's something missing in which, Kafka is not just natively not able to handle as well as to operate in the cloud. So they designed Pulsar to basically fill in those gaps. So as you can see, they re-architect the whole thing. Is basically a multi-node architecture. And also too, as you can see over there are different partitions, and there are different segments of the bookkeeper that are over there managing all of the log messages. And so then Pulsar itself can focus on compute side, on, again, message delivery, message retries, all of these like dead letter topics. All of these, they're quite complicated, but Pulsar can focus on that part, but works kind of coordinating with all of the bookies to manage all of the log messages. And then you can use reader interface to go in and do message replays, all of these things, and no need to deal with like offsets too. So, okay, so that's that.
Yeah, nice.
Yep.
Yeah, we are going to use Apache Pulsar functions now and try to save the world together. Like it's small pieces of our code that's running in the cloud. You can see it like a kind of AWS. And we're going to create such a function with a cloud vendor called DataStax. And first, something funny. Right?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we're just saying, we just keep talking about what the two are doing, event streaming, all of these. And so we're trying to think of what example usages that you can use this event streaming platform for, right? So I was just going to say, this is a great picture. I was talking about with someone, they are actually using like, you can actually use like messaging systems, for example, for an IoT type of scenarios in which you have cows in the field. And so you put in IoT devices, like track all of your cows, because during the day they roam around the hills, right? All these. So you want to figure out, in case you lose a cow or something, or lose some cows, you want to have the IoT devices to be able to locate them. So you can kind of think of using IoT devices and leveraging on a Pulsar kind of server, and they're collecting all of your GPS location. So that would be like one way to kind of
Where is it used, I'm thinking? Is it like, Where is it used? In Switzerland or something? Probably not in the Netherlands, I guess.
Yeah, not yet, right? But actually, in the US, I've heard of some cell phone company, they're using it too, to track the cows. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. So it gives you some idea. You can kind of think of how you can use it. And then other kind of, so now back to this Pulsar functions. Again, it's bite-sized type of functions to help in your data pipeline, right? You use it for filtering messages. For example, like small applications like counting the number of words words as it's, your message is flowing through your data pipeline very efficiently, very small bite-sized function that you can deploy, and then it will, kind of take care of things in the cluster for you. And also, too, let's say get into larger enterprise applications like fraud detection systems in investment firms, in banks that you work in, you can think of using that. And again, right, IoT applications in an agricultural farm, identifying lost cows, that would be something fun to do. Many other, kind of suggestions, too. Also, too, a note to point out about Pulsar functions. At DataStax, we support, or we're using Apache Pulsar for our streaming platform, but DataStax also has this specialized type of functions. Pulsar functions that we have is called transform functions. These are pre-configured functions. So then this way you can use it and just mostly configure it. Then you deploy, you can use it. So functions such as like filtering or casting, all these things, they're called transform functions that are available in DataStax platform. Yeah. And this one, okay. So
just continue.
Really quickly then talk about data pipeline, right? Every time we work with event streaming platform, we're really working with data. So I'm illustrating, think of data as like water flowing through the pipeline, and then we're using Pulsar functions to transform it. Then when you're ready, right, then you output it to a sink. Everything's done in memory too. Or you can kind of have other transform kind of processing to help you. Let's say Apache Flink, you can also kind of help you with that in the middle of this pipeline. Then you output it to a sink. So that's the idea of a data pipeline.
Yeah, it's also a little bit with Kafka. You can also sync it, plug in together, and it can be living everywhere.
Sure.
Functions. Yeah,
functions.
Okay.
Yep.
Pulsar functions are lightweight. What is said? You can compare it with AWS, where you can run a Lambda. And you have it also something like in Pulsar. And yeah, that's very tiny, and you save a lot of memory with it, and a lot of energy at the end, and a lot of money for the companies. So it's really nice to use. Small pieces of code, and if it's just don't run, it saves you a lot of memory, what it said, and that kind of things. And you can use it for Java, Python, and Go. So I hit someone Python and Go, so yeah that's right. You can use it. So first this one, sorry.
This one is just want to share with you right now with Apache Pulsar. I talk about data pipeline source connectors and sync connectors. These are all of the ones that are being supported currently. So as you can see, it's really a large collection of a lot of the common databases and messages workflow. Like Kafka is also in there. So,
So you can even connect Kafka, what I said, with your application. So a lot of you, who are developers here?
Yeah.
Almost everyone. Who not? A few? Okay. So that's good that there are a lot of developers because we are going also into the code, and it's really nice to just show like, hey, I can also use Pulsar as a backend system, and I can still use the things which I love, of course. Yeah. So we are going to show you some cloud vendor called DataStax. It's free. They have free tiers, and it's really nice to use because you can also have a playground if you want to check something. So I am also using it. You get $25. You get. It's not a sales pitch. I'm not from DataStax.
So I let the code do it.
I will do this.
This is really sharing of things in the community. $25 per month, and you get $300 a year, US dollars. So so you can try things out. Let's see what you have done, Cole.
So you have a tenant, right? So it's called World, but it can also be different companies, or it can be different apartments and that kind of things, what Mary already told. So we have only one. And they have, you can connect all kind of things. Python, there are also, if you want to use it with Python, there are also some examples there with Go, and that's pretty nice to use. And you can also use it with Java, more on that later, but we are talking about functions here. So what I said, you have functions, there's a small piece of code you're running in the cloud. So, for example, there's Pulsar functions. I have multiple projects here. One is the advanced stuff, and that's Pulsar functions. The only thing you need to know is the Maven dependency, Pulsar functions API. So that's, you describe it in your POM, and you package it, and then you can go. But the only thing you need to do is an implements function, like it implements function string. And you can do something. And this kind of things, I'm only logging it. So I do a log.info and do something. But you can also call other systems and that kind of things. So that's pretty simple. And you can create a function here. I already created send payment, and it's now running in the cloud. The only thing it's doing is making a payment, and every time it's done. So you don't need to start up other things, like you don't need Spring Boot or something, or you don't need things. You can also keep it basic, and it saves you a lot of memory.
Sure.
You can keep it just plain with Java. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's great. So, yeah.
So,
and also, just a note, right? I think the part that we didn't show was how you can deploy it. So, for example, if you use Astra Streaming from DataStax, and you can actually use this user interface, this console, that you can use to deploy it too, using this. Or you can use the Pulsar. We also have a command line CLI client that you can do too. So that part I thought I...
Yeah, that's pretty nice. There's also, in your console, you can just deploy it and that kind of things. And it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
So the next one is some resources.
Okay.
We're going to talk about, right?
Okay, yeah, that's right.
I thought for later, but
I thought maybe
you can talk about it.
This one is basically for Spring. I thought that was a good reminder. Cole was saying, now actually the Spring Boot now also has integration with Pulsar too. So there's, in fact, I'm going to Spring I/O tomorrow, and we'll be talking about the Pulsar client for Spring. So here too, we don't, because the talk doesn't have time allow us to talk more about it. So I'm just sharing with you a couple of links of the Spring Pulsar reference guide here, and also QR code, so you can scan that and get more information of that. If you're a Spring a developer, you want to kind of have it work with Pulsar too. So
what do we need to push a message, some simple message to Pulsar, for example?
Sure.
What do we need? We need.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, that's right. So you can just, the dependency is with this Spring Framework Pulsar. It's there already. So
it's now experimental. So it's 0-on-0 phase, but it's coming, and you can just use it. How you're using Kafka also. You have some kind of if you are producing a message, you have a kind of Pulsar template where you in Kafka have a Kafka template, and you have a JDBC template, or you have another template, and now you have also a Pulsar template. So that's pretty easy, because we did a lot of with JDBC already, and maybe some people with Kafka.
That's right.
And then we just call send.
Just doing send, that's right. And send, it would be synchronous send, or doing async send. That's also supported as well. So
And this one, Mary.
That's right.
We can use a Pulsar listener if you want to listen. Or somewhere you can use a Pulsar listener where you in Kafka have the Kafka listener. I don't know, you have a JDBC listener or something, I don't know, but and then the only thing is you need to implement some kind of method, get message, and you can do already some things with it. So that's how the client, basic client works. So that's some different flavor there.
Sure.
Sorry, otherwise.
Okay.
What I'm doing?
Back to
sorry.
The slide. Okay. Now.
Sorry. I'm Streams API. So you have also Apache Kafka. And what I said, you have the basic one. You have a Kafka listener. So if you want to consume something, you just use a Kafka listener, and it's pretty. They're more or less the same somehow.
That's right.
Only the advanced part is different. Like the functions is really good with Pulsar, and you should use it to save memory and save the world.
Yes.
And you have also something called it's here a producer, and you have something like a payment producer also, and you have also a Kafka template. What I said, so they're pretty simple. And you only do a Kafka template.send. I make some counters, of course, and that's very important in a streaming environment. Keep up your metrics. Create something with Spring Boot Actuator, and create your metrics and show it in a Grafana or whatever you're using, and it's or SignalFX or whatever. And then you can also, if something is going wrong, or if you see like 10,000 matches are going wrong, then you can see it instantly. Like, hey, you go to your manager and you say, hey, I have 1,000 times this error, or 100,000 times, then you know you have a problem and you need to fix it. But yeah, that's about metrics. The streams is also very powerful. I'm using it in my daily work, and the only thing you need is the Kafka Streams API. And you can use it, and what you then need is a topology. And a topology is here, and it's you have different streams. So you have one stream which handles the payments, and the other stream is handle the frauds. And yeah, it's returning the payment process. This is Spring Boot application you need to enable, some tricks you need to do. And it's all on GitHub, by the way. And what the nice thing is about Kafka Streams is that, yeah, you can, yeah, who is working with the Java Streams API, by the way? Is it a lot of people who are working with Java Streams? It's like 50. 45. So yeah, the Java Streams API is very powerful, and you can also use it within Kafka with Kafka Streams. It's the same thing about behind it. It's like you can filter messages, you can map values, and you can write it to a stream. And then on another application on a different apartment can sync it, and then it's a kind of pipeline then, right? And then you can just yeah, check the frauds. But this is checking the balance. So we are joining here the balance. You can play with it. It's on GitHub. I don't do live coding here. I'm only telling about Pulsar and Kafka, but you can do this with Kafka Streams, and it's very powerful and it's very quickly. And I love to use it, and I'm also interested in Pulsar functions. That's something else. But yeah. Yeah. So yeah, this is most things, and you can also with Kafka you can test in memory. So you have a test driver, and you don't need to have the whole cluster. You can just JUnit test. That's nice to say. And it's just have you need some configuration, sorry about that, but the only thing you need is a topology test driver. You can also use test containers or something if you want. It's also possible, but that spin up a Docker image, and you don't want it. This is very quick and like it's on your local, and it's not totally the same, but it's doing the same. So, so that's very powerful, I would say. So back to the presentation. Okay. Mary.
Okay, so
Sorry.
now, yeah, we kind of get to the last part in which we're like talking about how can we bridge the two together, right? Integrating Apache Pulsar and Apache Kafka. I think I have another slide.
Yeah,
okay,
you can
sorry.
click it. Yeah.
Okay, okay, this one, yeah, this one. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Okay, so just can give you an idea too, if you are considering, right, we have this free set of APIs, it's called DataStax Starlight, and basically it's protocol level compatibility with Pulsar. So if, let's say you already have in an enterprise environment, you already have invested your time developing your JMS, your Kafka, your RabbitMQ applications, you don't want them to throw them away. So that's the nice thing, beauty of Pulsar, is that it lets you kind of bolt on, kind of in a sense, right, architecturally. So it actually, using Starlight API, it provides you with protocol level compatibility too. So as over here, right, then this is just describing, we're highlighting this talk is with Kafka. So you can look up our Starlight API for Kafka, and you can then essentially connect.
This is very powerful, this,
yes,
yeah. What I show you, like the application, the Kafka Streams API, I can just hook it up. Right?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and also too, this particular slides too showing you too, even like with IoT, I brought up MQTT, ActiveMQ. Those are also forthcoming too. Our development team in the open source side are constantly working on more integration as well. So
you don't need the other systems anymore. So you have one system to rule them all, and that's pretty nice.
That's right. Yeah.
It can have some drawbacks, of course, but it's really nice to just use one, and you can use whatever you want in that picture. And that,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can kind of continue using what you have. Yeah. So looks like our time is
perfect, right?
And wrapping up. And yeah, so we're just kind of summarize, right? right? Apache Pulsar. So to summarize, is that Pulsar is more of a cloud-native ready kind of messaging platform, and it goes beyond just the distributed messaging side because it takes into account all of the stuff that you need to worry about in the cloud. And it provides like multi-tenancy and geo-replication. Those are examples of the feature that it has natively. And also, too, because of that, it helps you with horizontal scalability. And also like the cold data offloading. And also, too, Pulsar is open source. It's an Apache project. And really, the community is growing, too. The number of GitHub stars and all these are growing as well. So no vendor lock-in. That's the nice thing. Yep. And then there's also Kafka.
What Mary already said, we can still use our application. I'm a developer. What the backend is, that can be Pulsar, whatever. I like the Pulsar way also, but I can keep doing my development stuff like using the Kafka Streams API, or can use the Pulsar listener and that kind of things. You can choose what you want, and that's pretty powerful. But Kafka, of course, have a large and mature community, more support, I think. But for Pulsar, it's now coming. You can see some more, or you can ask ChatGPT in the end, right?
That's right. Yes.
To ask a Pulsar example, and you also have it.
You can also,
probably it need. Is it good then? But
we'll have to try.
Kafka have a lot of flavors, like I said, KSQL and that kind of things. You can also use. And the key takeaways.
Yes.
Pulsar.
So again, Pulsar, we have Pulsar functions. They are really helping with sustainability. That's actually another topic that Ko is working on. So that's very good. It's serverless computing framework with the Pulsar functions. Essentially write once and deploy and then let Pulsar manage it. So that's kind of a nice, very nice feature, I think,
I think also that is the future, like the serverless. Like we are also saving memory, we're saving money for the companies, of course, and we're saving the environment. So that will be something, I guess, in the future.
That's right.
I love it. Functions already. I want to use it, and
Sure.
But
yes.
Complex logic made simple. I'm using, from a developer's perspective, the Streams API. I really love it because you can stream all the way, make it functional. Mostly you need to do like the template.send or something, but here you can just like do this, do that, do this, and .to and done. It makes it very readable. Of course, you can make a mess of it, but be responsible with it. And I think it's more developer joy to use Streams API, but that's personal opinion.
Sure. Okay, so now we will just share with you some of the resources. This one is on Apache Pulsar, the Apache Foundation, all the links to all of the projects that we have talked about, and also at DataStax. Again, if you like a free tier account of DataStax, the Astra Managed Cloud, you can go to that astra.datastax.com, and it doesn't cost you anything. You don't need to give your credit card to get the free tier. So I encourage you to sign up for that. And also there are links to Astra Streaming, which is our managed cloud. And then if you want to manage your own, Pulsar deployment and use our enterprise support, you can use Luna Streaming. That's also kind of same too, and in some sense. And then there's also the Starlight for Kafka, that link, as well as if you are working with change data capture, we support that in Astra Streaming, our Astra platform as well. And so
a lot of resources. I have 3. The most important is kafka.apache.org. Zookeeper. If you don't need to use it nowadays anymore. They have some experimental thing that it's even quicker now on the back end. And if you want to know more about how to write Streams application, that kind of things, you can scan that QR code and it brings you a YouTube video. And
sure. Yep, that's right. Yep.
No, waiting for the photo. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Sure.
So
Okay. Yep. So this is like how you can get a hold of us. These are the links and our slides, our code, and also the code's connection link and my particular set of links too. So please stay in touch and share with us your stories too about streaming. We like to hear from you as well. So if you
have questions, come join us, I would say. And more information on QR codes.
That's right.
And we wrap it up. So
we should be wrapping up now.
Have fun. Enjoy the lunch.
Yeah, enjoy. Thank you. Thank you.